Hi, I'm David Itkin, conductor of the Las Vegas Philharmonic. I'm glad you joined me here today. We're going to talk for a couple of minutes about Mahler's Symphony No. 2, the work that the Philharmonic will play on March 24th at its first concert at the Smith Center for the Performing Arts. So, Mahler's Symphony No. 2, the Resurrection Symphony, what does that mean? Mahler's first symphony is brilliant. It's heroic, it's emotional, it's ethnic, it's got so many beautiful things in it. But the second symphony takes the form of the symphony and Mahler's incredibly unusual and creative musical ideas to an entirely different level. He breaks enormous new ground even after his first symphony. 80 minutes, 5 movements, soprano soloist, mezzo-soprano soloist, choir, an enormous orchestra, plus 8 extra horns and trumpets who only play from backstage. This work is a universe unto itself, a musical universe that had never been heard before this piece and still has many unique qualities even today. Mahler takes up from where Beethoven left off in his Ninth Symphony, where Beethoven, of course, famously used voices in the final movement, as Mahler uses voices in the final 2 movements of this symphony. So he takes up from where Beethoven left off with this idea, but expands the ideas and brings into it much more far-reaching and complex spiritual and philosophical ideas, far more than the text that Beethoven chose to use when he used Schiller's Ode to Joy. In the Resurrection Symphony also, Mahler takes it a step further, and as I said, explores beyond what Beethoven could do with Schiller's text by using the text of Verstehung, the resurrection. We come to this famous word now, Verstehung, resurrection. This is the name that Mahler gives this magnificent symphony. Why? Because it is the first word, it is derived from the first word that the chorus will sing when they finally sing, they finally enter in the 5th movement. Auferstehen, more than 1 hour into the symphony, the chorus finally sings in incredible softness, Auferstehen, rise up. What does it have to do with this music, and what does it have to do with us? What does it have to do with us who are not specifically religious in our beliefs, and what does it have to do with those of us who are? Before we can answer any of those questions, or even try, we have to go back for a few minutes into the first 3 movements of this magnificent symphony and look at the amazing music that fills the first 3 movements of the symphony before any of the singers sing in the 4th and 5th movements. The first movement is martial, funereal, violent, and delicate, all by turns. A big blast of upper strings on one note, on an octave G natural, opens the symphony, and then cellos and basses roar forward with this opening violent theme. A magnificent opening to grab our attention and bring us into Mahler's sonic world right off the bat. But typical of Mahler's brilliance, he contrasts that theme and the attitude that brings come rocketing off the stage with this magnificent contrasting theme. Part of the contrast of light and dark, violence and gentleness that is pervasive in this symphony is demonstrated here again. We heard the opening motive very violent in the cello and basses. We heard that extraordinary lyrical theme, and in the middle of the first movement, Mahler introduces a motive that outdoes even the opening in its savagery. But, ironically, for all this violence, Mahler ends the first movement 21 minutes into the symphony, very softly and very enigmatically. Mahler completes that first movement softly and enigmatically after 21 minutes. And then he writes a note in the score. It's right here, if you can see that, in plain, well, not plain English, plain German. And he tells us this. He says, "Here follows a pause of at least 5 minutes." He wants 5 minutes of complete silence after this 21-minute first movement to give us time to absorb and appreciate the astonishing things that we have just heard and felt. Will we actually take 5 minutes of silence in our performance on March 24th in the Smith Center? You'll have to come and find out. More on Mahler's Resurrection Symphony the next time I see you in our next installment, and I'll see you on March 24th at the Smith Center for the Performing Arts.